How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Big news for you. World Rugby have officially approved the 20-minute red card and moves it to a global law trial. This has moved on from its previous trials before, and this is now big news. They are coming in to the later stages of this, and I'm pretty certain, considering the way things are going, it is going to be approved ultimately and eventually. So this is big in terms of rugby. Now, when it was first announced, I was a bit in two minds in relation to it because I was always very much a person that I believe, look, if it's a red card offense, they should be sent off. End of. Right? No bringing on players and so on and left, right, and center, whatever it is. The more I see it in action, the more I'm actually growing to kind of like it, because there is one thing that I do enjoy of it, and that is the flow of rugby. Now, I know some of you guys might hate it, and some of you guys might love it. I'm specifically talking about Eddie Jones because he talks a lot about the flow of rugby and how we shouldn't have it stopped as much. Obviously, there's all the TMOs and so on, which, it's a debate for another day. But honestly, having a 20-minute red card, for me, it as someone that truly enjoys rugby, that analyzes it, it's a bit of back and forth. But a if you're looking at a completely fan perspective, it just improves the game, right? Because if it is not deemed if it is not deemed intentional or dangerous, after 20 minutes, you are able to replace that red carded player with another one of your substitutes. In the event that it is deemed intentional and dangerous, the referee can award a straight red, and that way there's no replacement. No one is sent off down into the lockers, and nothing else can be done. So it's very much comes down to the referee's discretion, what he feels and what the TMO feels to be intentional, dangerous. But ultimately, I do feel that it does still help the flow of rugby because it ends up bringing another player back up onto the pitch. Everything is back level, and it keeps things going. So there is an argument for both of them, and I want to hear what your argument is. Whether this is something that should be approved, or whether it's kind of destroying the aspect of a game. Because if a team or a player is willing to do something that is red card worthy, it should be they should be at a disadvantage, right? Because ultimately they are trying to gain advantage through, you know, um, not so nice tactics. So it has both sides, and I understand both sides, right? I'm talking purely from a fan's perspective, looking at the game, watching it as a spectator, what I would want to see, but looking at it as a someone that analyzes rugby, I'm not the biggest fan of it because ultimately, if a player is doing something that is deemed intentional and dangerous, they should be penalized. The team should be penalized. And that's that, right? So they should be then down that one man, two men, whatever it is, because of the actions taken during the game. So there is an upside and a downside to it because although it helps the flow of rugby, at some point it also kind of destroys the essence of it because rugby is a gentleman's game to say, we should not be having an instance where players are intentionally trying to hurt someone else, right? If that makes sense. So if a red card is deemed worthy, then they should be at a disadvantage. Same thing with if a player gets two yellows, then obviously he gets a red. There's a reason why he got those yellows. So that needs to be stomped out, right? So ongoing, let that be a lesson. Don't do that, and it won't happen again. And the same thing goes for a red. Don't do that. Go lower. Don't show your studs. Whatever it is, do better. Otherwise, you are not only now being held being held responsible for your actions, you are now also being held accountable for the results that your team is potentially going to get, because you are now putting them in a bad situation. These things, they happen. And yes, there are certain decisions. Refs, at the end of the day, are only human. And yes, I do feel that decisions need to be made. They need more deliberation at points. And I feel the TMO needs to kind of cut themselves out of the game as much. But I'm still unsure as to whether this is a good thing for rugby, because it has both positives and negatives. So I'm telling you, as I've been seeing the game played, I kind of I kind of liked it. I didn't have too much to say. The decisions were, all right, that were made against it, and obviously they are still doing a whole bunch more different things, but they are, there are still a lot of kinks to work out with this. But yeah, I don't know. Um, it's going to be interesting. They did say the council also approves a measure so that from 2025, all law trials in the men's game will begin on 1st of August each year, ensuring that all international matches are played under the same set of laws and trials, regardless of where in the world they are played. So that's speaking specifically in terms of the international rugby. But yeah, obviously they are trying to improve the game, and there are going to be decisions that are both positive and negative. There are going to be certain decisions that are made that are going to be both good and bad for the game. And ultimately, I guess sometimes you won't necessarily find out until it's put through its trials. And obviously, rugby is very, very aware of player welfare. They want to make sure that the players are being looked after the best as possible. They did have this to say: player welfare is non negotiable. We monitor data around head injuries, tackle height, and concussion rigorously and transparently. If evidence ever indicated this trial posed greater risk, we would end it immediately. So obviously they do have this in the back of their mind in terms of the risk factor. So they are taking a lot of things into consideration for the trial, but I don't know. Is it good for the game? Is my question. I want to hear what you guys think, because I am still unsure of it. I need to see more games played with it. I need to see more different types of decisions made around it for me to be fully confident and comfortable to say, yes, this has a place in the game, because I'm still on the fence, right? But I want to hear what you guys have to think in relation to that. So pop your comments in the comment section below. Try to be as detailed as possible. I want to hear your genuine thoughts. Obviously, if it's a sweet, long comment, all the better. Give me some good reading. I want to hear your points, your reasons behind it, and more than likely you will end up getting a response from me. So yeah, comments in the comment section below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.